Greetings to our listeners and welcome aboard to episode 53 of the Six Sports Podcast. We are happy to have you here. Sergio here sitting in the commander chair, as I usually do, joined by two of my cohorts, Anthony and Igor. Gentlemen, welcome aboard. How are we feeling?
Aye, aye, Captain.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Ant, you're smiling tonight. That tells me one of two things: either your wife is not home, or you just had a delicious dinner.
I just had a delicious dinner.
See,
made by me.
By the way,
for the wife.
Your wife is one of the most amazing women in the world. So if there's ever any problems, it's usually you got to look in the mirror. But that's all
okay.
Yeah, it's a you thing.
Yeah,
that for all of us men, by the way, it's always our fault. Guys, it's kind of that time of the year in general, right? Baseball's just starting, hockey's winding down, getting to the playoffs. I'm eager to start with the Leafs. We finished last week talking about maybe an outside chance they could catch the Panthers in the standings, get home ice. But then, Igor, you kind of sent me a message yesterday saying, screw home ice. We don't need that crap. We play better on the road anyways.
That's right.
So are you cool? It looks like it's going to finish with the Leafs on the road anyways. I think that the Panthers have a cupcake schedule to end the season, including a game at home tonight against Columbus. I think it pretty much all wraps that up, but it's going to be the Leafs and the Panthers in round one. That looks like it's almost set in stone. How does that make you feel?
I think I'm fine with it. Like I said, it's going to be a coin toss type of series. I think our team is better built this year than last to play their style, I guess, of game. I don't know. Let's go something crazy. Leafs in 6.
Oh, gee, already with these predictions?
Just saying, why not? Let's be optimistic. Let's be optimistic.
I didn't ask you to commit
maybe,
career suicide yet. Jesus. Oh, my God. Ant, Leafs and Panthers.
Sure.
Yeah,
sure. Why not?
Whatever.
I honestly don't like. I think what's kind of good about where the Leafs are right now is I think the focus is actually not on the playoffs, but it's on Austin Matthews getting 70 goals. They have something to play with. There are 4. You know what I mean? I think they have something to play for right now, and that's making sure Austin gets his 70th.
Okay.
And that takes the pressure off. I think if this was just nothing going on, they'd already be thinking about playoffs and psyching themselves out. So I kind of like this little change of focus, in my opinion. I don't think there's a lot of questions going into the playoffs for the Leafs. There aren't, right? I think health. No, there aren't. I don't have any questions at all. I think there's realities, right? Like their defense isn't great, but they can't fix that now. So
no, but I mean
they know who their goalie is.
Okay, let's touch on two things that you brought up there. One, that they have something to play for right now, and maybe that's the one element that they haven't necessarily had in the last few years leading into the playoffs, where they knew who they were going to play, they were kind of fixed in their position, they really didn't have anything to play for. So you're going by the mental psyche of the fact that the team is coming together here, playing for Austin together on this, to try to watch him eclipse this magical number of 70 goals, and that might be taking their head,
correct,
away from overthinking about the fact that the playoffs are probably starting next week. I think the playoffs start next Saturday.
And they've been amazing these last, what is it, Igor? You might know this, but what is it, like in the last 30 games? What are they? Aren't they
I think their last 28
27
games.
And 28 games.
Yeah, by far the best record in the NHL.
Yeah, so this is great.
Well, not by far, but they are the best record in the NHL.
Is it like a January 1st thing, or kind of in and around that?
Maybe.
I think since December, Edmonton's the best defensive team in the league. You know what
wow.
I mean? So these two teams, the scrutiny for these two teams in the playoffs is as big as any. So I just, from a Leafs perspective, I think it's great. I guess for the regular season, look, technically they're not locked into their seeding, right? If they can get some help, But like, what do you do that last game against Florida, right? Like, doesn't their season end against the Panthers? So if that game means anything,
it ends against Tampa, I believe.
Okay.
So they go into Florida and into Tampa,
first.
if I remember the schedule, which is next Wednesday is their last game. I mean, you bring up a good question, because if Florida coughs up a couple of games here, like, do you keep going for it if it's within reach? I think the general consensus is, yeah, if you can get home ice, you go for it. But the Leafs have played better on the road. And we're talking about,
like, they're 3 points behind Florida with a game in hand. So it's not.
Right. But Florida, like I said, finishes with a cupcake schedule. Go on. Go ahead, Igor.
They're 27-1 in their last 28 games.
Who is?
We are.
They're 20-7-1.
And 1.
Thank you. No. Well, you said they're 27.
Not Daryl Sittler.
Yeah.
Not Daryl Sittler.
27.
No, not Daryl Sittler or John Kordick. It's 27.
Okay.
Which is pretty goddamn good.
That's a phenomenal record. There's no doubt about that. Ant, you mentioned that, how much is there for change, but they're since Marner's come back, they're deploying a different look offensively. They're trying to spread out the offense, which is something they really haven't done all year, but they kind of utilized the fact that when Mitch went down and Bertuzzi and Domi effectively ended up with Matthews, that they were going to keep that trio intact. Now Marner comes back and has been playing with Tavares and McMahon. Nyes has dropped all the way down to line 4. And then you have combinations of Camp and Dewar and Holmberg, and who's been playing. It's not who's been playing on the right. So what I meant to say is you have what is an impending return from Calle Jarnkrok. So you've got options right now, and I don't see a world in which if Jarnkrok is healthy and ready to go for game 1, there's no way that Sheldon Keefe doesn't deploy him. I think that Keefe puts him in the lineup automatically.
Yeah.
So now I start to want, like, who's out, who's on the outside looking in.
Holmberg, maybe.
But he's a center. He's playing center.
Yeah, but there was talk that when, and this is a long time ago now, but when Jarnkrok was with the Predators, he lined up against Sidney Crosby.
Yeah, Calle Jarnkrok is not coming back and being thrown at center.
Yeah.
It's not happening. It's not happening. He'll come back and play the wing. But, funny, I can't even believe that I'm going to say this out loud. I want to rip on my tongue. But Ryan Reeves has sort of earned the game 1 start.
For sure.
Really pisses me off to say that out loud. But you know what? Good for him. I shouldn't say that it pisses me off. I come across as such a anti-Leafs guy all of a sudden, and I'm not. But good on Ryan Reeves for finding enough of his game to be
billed as advertised.
I shy away from saying impactful. Okay. But not, he's not a deficit on the ice. Let's just say that. Billed as advertised, I guess. He's doing his job fairly effectively lately. And I think that, against this particular opponent, who we have a taste of how they play, he's got to be in their game 1. Because they're going to try to set a tempo, and you have to have the horses deployed that can answer that tempo. Or you're setting the tempo. I mean, God forbid the Leafs did it first, but that would be a unique circumstance. But I don't know. He's earned it, and then you got Jarnkrok that's likely back in the lineup. So a guy like Nick Robertson, not likely to start.
I think we might use him as a secret weapon because he's always good after he sits a couple games and then comes back and scores. So what if maybe in game 1 we start slow and offense is dead again? I could see him drawing back in, right?
Do the Leafs need David Kampf to be playing? Because you said, Pontus Holmberg's the center, so he's obviously in the lineup. Well, so is Kampf. So, I mean, someone has to go.
Well, Holmberg is the third line center.
4.
Yeah,
Holmberg's been playing line 3. That's the thing right now.
I think the acquisition of Dewar changed a lot.
Yeah, but he's been playing the wing. So he's been playing with Kampf. I think.
But Yarncrook's with Yarncrook coming back, that changes, right? So
yeah.
Look, I think this is where they are in the season, Serge. This is where they are in the season, right? This is all experimental. They're throwing shit on the board. They're seeing what sticks.
You don't want to be experimental at this point.
Why?
No.
You have that luxury.
Yeah, but
they're playing New Jersey for the 6th time in 5 nights. So
you got to know
something different.
Who. If Sheldon Keefe doesn't know right now who his starting roster is for the playoffs, it's a problem. It's one thing if injury is affecting a decision, but you're pretty much getting everyone back. Edmondson is back tonight. Liljegren is still a question mark. I believe it was at practice today. Skated today at practice. Yeah. That's a bit of a question mark. But even having said that, if Liljegren is deemed healthy tomorrow, poor guy, I think is in the exact same spot that he's been last couple of playoffs. I don't think he's starting game 1.
So Giordano does.
No, I don't think Giordano's in the lineup too, because now you got Edmondson back and you've got, so you're going to go, the point is Brody isn't coming out of the lineup. So let's just start there, because that's the guy that I would have elected, but it doesn't look like Sheldon Keefe's going to go that route. So deployed, and again, I'm not putting them in any particular order, but Riley, Lyubushkin, Brody, McCabe, Edmondson, and Simon Benoit. Like, I believe that's your 6. Your starting 6 going into the playoffs.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that for Liljegren to draw in, Brody has to have like it's got to be a really, really bad game.
Why only Brody though? Why can't it be? Why can't Lyubushkin suck or Benoit?
Because I think the ideal scenario here is to get a lefty out of the lineup. Now it could be Benoit, absolutely. It could be Edmondson, but I think that Edmondson brings that element that they're looking for. He can clear the front of the net, like that tough presence.
Yes.
That they haven't necessarily had. So.
Yeah, you don't make a trade for a guy even though you didn't pay much for him and then decide you're not going to play him.
And Benoit kind of plays that style too. So, and I think that they want that in the lineup. Against Florida, you need it. For the Leafs to have any path right now, they're going to need it, because all the teams are going to play that style. So it doesn't matter where we go. Tampa can still play that tough style, right? We know that Boston can still play that scrappy style. And Florida unquestionably plays that style because they were ragdolling the Leafs at some points in the series last year. So I think you have to have these guys in the lineup, because these are the types of guys that you didn't really have last year. They brought in some toughness last year, but this is different. So now it's the time to see if these guys, who at different points this year, you may have said, whatever, or they've looked okay. But the one thing that has been regurgitated that I've heard from other people, from you, Igor, from Joe, is we got these guys for the playoffs. Ryan Reeves for the playoffs. Bertuzzi for the playoffs. Domi for the playoffs. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, it's playoff time. Are you confident that these guys that they have another gear?
I mean,
don't start from it. You've told me you're confident that
I'm saying, If they continue playing, I feel like all of them heated up at the right time, and it was closer to the back half of the season, and it seems like Bertuzzi's scoring almost every game. Domi's dishing out assists like he's Marner. Okay, let's go. Come on.
Well, he's a playmaker. He's a playmaker at heart. So he's looked. Go ahead.
So, sorry, if I could just ask the two of you then. In the world of the regular season, right, we've had to endure 82 games, 79 after tonight.
79 after tonight, yeah.
Is this regular season a success? Is it a failure? Is it
I don't think it's
blah?
either. Yeah, it's just another regular a success would be for us to win the division and actually get an opponent that isn't as good or better than us. You know?
Yeah, and you would have felt confident had they done that this year, and they would have dropped
because
Tampa?
we'd still be screwed over. Yeah, it's still a curse. You know what it is? It's this playoff format. Can we just go back to 1-8, or just go something crazy at like 116, 215? Can we do that? That would be crazy.
So
owners don't want that. Too much travel.
I'll tell you something. So if it was the 1-8 formula, okay, the Leafs are playing the Panthers.
No, fuck that.
By the way, this was the same thing last year, where it's like the Leafs would have played Tampa.
It's actually worked out in the sense that the Rangers, if they clinch, they would be rewarded by, I think the big winner here is, it actually works out because Carolina's going to come in second in their division and they're going to get the Islanders. If you were to rank it 1 through 8,
yes, but
irrespective of divisions. So if Boston was going to go second because they were the division,
yes, because they were the division winner, so Boston is the one that would have got and I'm not calling it a freebie by any stretch of the imagination.
No, but I've seen formats though where that doesn't matter though, because the NBA did that in the conference where if you won a division, but you had a worse record than a team in another division,
right?
You were dropped a spot.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Not for nothing, but I wouldn't want to play the Islanders or take the Islanders not seriously, like lightly. They don't make the playoffs every year, but when they do, their conference finals are like
not suggesting
hockey, and they have great goaltending.
Well, they've got one of the league's best, but
he's not playing like that though right now at all.
Varlamov is.
Yeah, Varlamov is, exactly.
Yeah. So
if you tuned in to the last episode, you understand how highly I think of Tampa Bay, where I think that they're just primed to make a serious run this year, lying in the weeds, if you will. It's funny after we posted last week's episode, and I'm not suggesting that we're catalysts, but it's just to say, folks, tell your friends to listen because we tend to have it first. The next day, all of a sudden, TSN and the guys on Overdrive started talking about Tampa Bay. Now, obviously, because it was after Tampa Bay played the Leafs, but we were saying it before the game even started.
Does that mean we're trailblazers?
We are trailblazers, my friend.
Newsbreakers.
You call us whatever you want. But we think it before everyone else says it.
The 3 foreshadowers.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Write that down, Igor. Let's get that.
Yeah, the 3 foreshadowers.
Someone jumps on it. Fuck you, Joe.
Fuck you, Joe. Copyright that shit.
Conspicuous by his absence again tonight, but Joe is actually at the game right now. He is attending the game with his little boy, and it's his fault.
And he's sitting in Reds.
Goals. It's sitting in Reds, and there's 5 goals in the first period. It's 3-2 for the Devils. So, a great opening to the game tonight. Leafs scored 18 seconds in, and then conceded the tying goal 20 seconds later. That's just, ready for playoff hockey. Oh my God! But our pal, all right, future friend of the show, Austin Matthews, has number 67. So he's creeping.
If he stays at 67 and they lose in the first round, that is an all-time Leaf season.
I think what's better is that if he stays at 67, and that is the reason why they go on and win the cup.
Sure.
Well, if
they're a good team, boys.
67, it's all
Let's
on
get her
me
going.
because I said he was going to get 67. So.
That was your prediction weeks ago. I'm afraid to tell you that's likely not going to be the case. This guy's determined. There's a second and a third period to go tonight. I think 68 is probably going to be on the board this game. That's how I feel about it. And then the next game, maybe 69 and 70, and you rest Matthews' last 2 games of the season?
Nah.
Like, that's my question to you here. Okay? He's got 70 done before they go to Florida next week. And you got 2 games. Are you resting your players?
Yeah. If there's nothing to play for.
Yeah.
I don't know, because he's not playing 22 minutes like he used to. He's playing like 17. That's kind of resting.
Keith is resting his players.
I don't trust the Sam Bennett or anybody else in that Florida team taking a shot at him.
I don't trust Tampa either.
But I don't bring him to Florida. I leave him here in Toronto.
What?
I don't want athletes having too much fun in Florida on their own.
Oh my
That's
God.
a vacation then. By the time so when do the playoffs start after the regular season? It's like, isn't it like 8 weeks after?
No.
Gotta get going?
No.
Or is it like a couple days later? Like that's a long time.
The season ends. The NHL season ends on Thursday of next week. However, a number of teams are done on Wednesday. And though it hasn't officially come out yet, playoff schedule is not out yet.
Saturday it's going to start.
That's exactly where my head is at, because if the NHL didn't start on a Saturday, it would be, it would be the most NHL thing, right? Gary Bettman saying, let's start on a Monday and let's
I don't
lose
think
a Saturday.
Saturdays matter much for
they do.
US. I don't think Saturdays matter much for US television.
But they matter to your big Canadian conglomerate that paid you.
That doesn't matter.
It matters.
They get bumped all the time. They got bumped last year in the playoffs. Like on some of the scheduling, they got bumped last year. Like Rogers has almost no say. No. They cater to ESPN and TNT or TBS, whatever who has it. They cater to their American fan base because they know the taken for granted is no matter what time the game is on, Canadians are going to watch. I believe that more than I believe that we're going to cater to the Canadian.
There's going to be Saturday hockey. there will
be anyways. Yeah, it's a stupid,
I already did a little look ahead, if you will. I looked at the Panthers arena and what was on the schedule, and free spots on Saturday and Monday.
Makes sense. Okay, it makes sense. Yeah, I'm just saying it.
Yeah.
It looks like this. I think this year the playoffs end later than usual. It's the 18th, I think, not the playoffs, the regular season, and the playoffs start on the 20th, which is a Monday.
No, the 20th would be a Saturday. The 20th is next Saturday. The 18th is next Thursday.
Is Saturday. The 18th is Thursday. Today's April 11th.
The site has all their dates wrong then.
What site is this?
When you go on Wikipedia, when you go on Wikipedia.com, the NHL supposedly had said something along the lines a week back about possibly starting on the 22nd, which would have been the Monday. But then now there's rumors kind of like, no, it looks like they're going to start the Saturday.
All right.
And that's where they should start.
Correct.
So, when we record our playoff preview episode next week, teeing up all the reasons why I think the Leafs are not going to get out of round one. Look forward to that, kids. I believe we'll have some sort of an announcement. The NHL probably has to release the playoff schedule, I'd assume, either by this weekend or at latest Monday morning.
18th is the last day.
18th is the last, yeah. I think there's only 2 games that night. 2 or 3 games that night. But I don't believe there's a lot of playoff teams.
There's 6 games.
List off teams that are playing. I don't
Minnesota, Vancouver, Winnipeg. Those are 2. Yep. San Jose, Calgary, Edmonton, Colorado 2. Vegas 1 versus Anaheim, and Chicago, LA is going to make the playoffs.
And they can all start on Sunday.
Yeah. Well, it's the West. Yeah. Doesn't the East usually kick things off anyways?
Well, but I'm saying, more or less, given the way that it is, the East could kick things off, and then the West starts on Sunday. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's where my head's at.
Oh, I think it's a mismatch. I think there's a 10 o'clock game even on the first night of the playoffs.
Could be.
Which would mean obviously a Western team. Fascinating. Fascinating. A lot of parity. A lot of parity in this league. So who knows? Let's just get the bitch going.
Yeah. It's that time. You mentioned West Coast. They're not completely West Coast, but a little bit of news dropped yesterday. on the Arizona Coyotes. The NHL has a second schedule that they have made in their back pocket. And I would have the Coyotes playing out of Utah next year, Salt Lake City. So that's got all sorts of people talking in the last 24 hours.
Does it?
Well, it does. Well, yeah. Yeah. Oh,
In this
I
country.
didn't know coyotes were allowed to have more than one wife.
Matthew Nyes is not happy.
No, he's not, but whatever.
Is Austin Matthews upset?
Well, no, but listen. There was I don't know. Some article was posted that the Arizona Coyotes players were not all necessarily happy with a possible relocation to Salt
They
Lake
have
City,
kids
Utah.
and schools and life happening and stuff. Right.
How much do you know about Utah as a state, Igor?
Not a whole lot.
I'm not asking to be rude.
Not a whole lot.
So
I'm sure
you know
they have
that there's
schools as well. I understand.
They do. They
but
do.
You're uprooting your whole family and everything because these kids probably go to private school or something. It's already paid for.
It's said to
You know
be a
what I
different.
know about
So
Utah?
it's said to be a different way of life.
Mormons.
A lot of Mormons.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of Mormons.
A lot of wives.
No. But putting that aside, and there's a lot of dry counties in Utah.
Ooh.
You can't get in trouble in Utah if you tried.
No, that would be a good thing for the NHL players, but you can get in trouble in Utah. Beer in the grocery stores has a maximum alcohol content of 3.2%. 3.2%. We Canadians would call that water. Water. That is
That's brown water.
It's like expired juice.
expired juice.
It's fermented juice.
The legal alcoholic limit to drive is 0.05.
Wow.
For point of reference, we are 0.08. I don't think you could drink enough 3.2% beers to get to 0.05, especially if Canadians are visiting. I do believe you could get stronger beer, but their alcohol stores are regulated by the state, which is something that we know nothing about here in Ontario, about having alcoholic regulation on how you buy your stuff. But so there's that. And I wonder if that's an element of why the players don't want to move, but it's probably more to what you said, Igor, uprooting your family and schools and all of that stuff. And the fact that you're leaving Arizona, that is, okay, you know what? Arizona is not that pleasant in December. I don't retake that because we've been there. We've been there. And the desert in December, fuck, man, it's bitter. Man, it's dry. We were there in December, 2 years ago? I mean, it's north of Phoenix, north of Scottsdale. We were in Tucson, but my Lord, you're outside for 10 minutes, and it was like a high of 5 or 6 degrees Celsius, and your hands were cracking for how dry it was. It's just nasty. That's nasty living conditions. I don't know how you do it. Need a little humidity, you know?
Can I tell you a couple other weird Utah laws since we're talking about it?
Yeah.
Do you know that it's illegal to hunt for whales in Utah? I'll let you sit on that one for a bit.
Because that's a common practice.
Yeah.
Where? In Antarctica.
They don't even have water. I don't know.
Okay. Hunt for whales. It's illegal.
So what's the real story here, though? So they're going to potentially relocate because Arizona's been a disaster. So if not Salt Lake, then where?
Atlanta.
I don't think there is a where. I think that's it.
Right?
This is kind of like...
you've got an owner in Utah who's really working hard for it, and he's following the rules, right? Like he's calling Gary, he's following the protocol, he's following the etiquette. There's really nowhere else to go.
No,
they talk about Quebec City. They don't want to go there, and Quebec City probably doesn't have the. I don't think they have the capital, the sponsorship, the corporate base, none of it. If you're upset about going to Salt Lake from Arizona, You think they're all going to jump on a plane? Oh, fine, good. I'll, I can't wait to get to Quebec City. That's not going to happen
No,
either. The players are going to
Utah's
bitch and
already
complain.
vetted. If the
Yeah.
NHL is
So I'm
writing a
saying,
secondary
what's the
schedule,
point?
that's
Yeah.
done in the background. Absolutely.
And in regards to the players, if they have an issue, I don't know, man. Cry me a dry river. Cry me a dry Arizona river, because it's been a disaster there.
Well, it has been,
right?
yes.
You're playing in front of family and friends, less than 5,000 people every night. You're not like they tell you know what I love? They cry about, what a joke it is that you are playing in an arena that seats actually a little less than 5,000 people. The reality is you're not even selling out that 5,000 seat arena. Right? So get the freaking out of there.
Are they not selling it out?
No, they don't have 5,000 every game. So get out of there.
Sad.
Yeah.
Right? They can't get an arena going, so that's it. They're done.
Yeah.
Time to move.
It is time to go. I don't have anything against Utah. I mean, when you look at it, look.
I mean, aren't they going to get the next Olympics too? Like, I think they're in line to get the Winter Olympics, and so that comes with all kinds of toys, right?
Is
That's
it?
one of their yes. So that comes with
Going
all kinds
back?
of toys, and one of them is going to be that they're going to get a new arena, right? Like it's all lining into place. This is
They
Well,
had
wouldn't they be
Olympics
playing-
already. Salt Lake
Pardon
City
me?
had Olympics, right?
Yeah,
Like
they
in the
did.
90s
yeah,
or
Salt
something?
Lake,
or
90, ooh,
8?
98.
something like that. Yeah, yeah.
Was it 98 or
Or
was
no,
98
Nagano, 98.
Nagano was 98. It would have been
Salt Lake,
2002.
either later or before.
No, 2002.
Right
Yeah.
when the women won gold in the hockey, and the men won gold.
And the men won gold. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
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 I'm sorry, I don't know if it was 2002 or whenever it was, but I think
No,
it was,
I think
yeah.
it was. I'm
Yeah, I think
pretty
it
sure
was,
that it
too.
was because 02 was there, 06 was Turin in Italy. 2010 was Vancouver. Yeah, so 2002 would have been Salt Lake City.
Yes.
Hey, I mean that's all good in my book.
Right. Yeah.
When you think about what has to happen behind the scenes for all of this to work, geography plays a factor in this too.
Correct.
Right?
Just going to say
So,
that. Yeah. Fits perfectly with
Arizona and
yeah.
Utah is like they border each other. So, it just fits geographically. And you have an eager and committed owner in Utah. It's the owner of the Jazz, which tells you that they have an arena and that they're ready to go. So this is a seamless transition. Reading the background stuff though is all, I mean, it's slightly interesting, right? We read a little bit about it, about what is rumored to happen if this does in fact become reality. That the Coyotes owner would get paid $1 billion from the NHL. Again, this is rumored, not suggesting that it's factual, but the rumor is the NHL would come up and pay him $1 billion with some agreements in place that if the city of Arizona can get its shit together. Or the state of Arizona, sorry. I meant the city
Where
of
are they
Phoenix.
looking to move? Within
I meant
Arizona.
the city of Phoenix, right?
But where are they looking? Is this Phoenix or is this Scottsdale?
But they border each other. So Phoenix and Scottsdale are right next to each other, right? So
Because 6 weeks ago or 6 months ago, it was Tempe, right? They had
yeah.
They played in Glendale.
Yeah. Anyway, but if they can get their stuff together, that the NHL would look at Arizona in the future again with the same owner as a possible location for expansion. But it would be the NHL paying this owner in Arizona $1 billion, which to me sounds a little bit like some hush money, because I don't think the Coyotes are worth $1 billion. And then the Utah owner paying the NHL $1.2 billion for the franchise. The NHL would profit $200 million. I believe that's what we read. I don't know. So go ahead, Ed.
I'm going to make a left turn here. Igor.
Left.
In 5 years, the NHL announces an expansion. One team is in Arizona, and the second team is just outside of Toronto. Markham somewhere.
I'm very much against a second Toronto team. Sorry.
Why is that?
Would you rather they go to a
Don't
place
want
like
it.
Atlanta and make us endure more meaningless hockey?
Why do you have to endure? You don't live there. You have a good team in front of you to cheer for.
But let's, if you're talking about cap ramifications, if you're talking about profitability, wouldn't it be more interesting
I
to
would
see a
rather
second
have
team
a
in Toronto?
team, bring back the Nordiques before,
No.
bringing back or bringing a Markham team. I don't want to
You
cheer for
are
them.
you are 2 years away from a minority owner in the Toronto Maple Leafs exiting MLSE. And I think that once his shares are bought out by either Bell or Rogers or one of them, that he's going
Tannenbaum
to
you're
be,
talking about?
yes, sir. He is still very eager to grow his sports portfolio. And you're going to have, I think you have I don't want to say a
Hamilton?
loose cannon. Not necessarily Hamilton again.
No.
It could be north of the city, man. It can be north of the city.
I can't cheer for it. Sorry.
Well,
No,
one's
and listen, and
no one's
that
asking
happens.
to.
Okay, I can't. I just won't. I can't.
Yeah,
I won't
think
even
you
recognize
cheer
them as
for it.
another team.
Yeah,
I just think
I'll
it would be
cheer
an
for it.
interesting follow. Like I've heard this in other sports, right? Like they say you go to a Brooklyn Nets game and it's filled with Knicks fans who are just there to watch basketball, but they don't really have much of an emotional interest. And could that happen in Toronto? Absolutely. Like I could see that happening.
Oh, we'll
Well,
sell
you
out.
never,
That's
Like
not
my
a
God, we
problem.
take over we take over the arenas in places like Buffalo,
yeah.
right?
Well,
Like,
you're
I
never
can
going
only
to
imagine
unseat
what
the Leafs.
no, but that doesn't need to be your goal, right?
No.
Remember, right? Like there's a basketball team here who's always being told, well, you're never going to outseat the Leafs, right? But doesn't mean you're not successful. Doesn't mean you're not making tons of money. Doesn't mean you're not making tons and tons and tons of money. I'd be really interested. You work out an exclusive, well, obviously it would be an exclusive. You work out a TV deal with Bell and Rogers and what they'd be willing to pay for that game. That's better ratings than anything else they're going to put on.
Wow. I think that one of the two maybe exits to partnership. I wonder if we're looking at one single owner here by the time we get to 26, 27. And I wonder if it's Rogers.
Matthews scored.
68. Don't you love him with my
Just as
predictions?
Sergio said. Ladies and gentlemen, don't
We're
even watch
trailblazers,
sports
folks.
anymore. Don't even
We
watch
are
sports anymore.
trailblazers.
Watch
Just
and listen to us,
right here.
and we're going to tell you what's going to happen.
Right here. Right here. We've got it all in honor of Austin Matthews and his 68th.
Holy mackerel!
Woo! Maybe he gets 69 too. Not predicting that necessarily. We'll see where this Phoenix stuff shakes out. But when this stuff leaks, it's usually an indicator that it's a lot closer to happening than not happening. So
Also,
I think
as per Forbes and December 2023, the Phoenix Coyote or the Arizona Coyotes are worth $500 million.
well,
He's getting a nice, and he only paid $300 million for them.
yeah, it would be, if that $1 million bounty is
Drives
in
me
fact
nuts.
true. Yeah, it would be.
That's just
He
you know,
doubled
for
up.
that. Way to go, Gary. Great job.
Yeah, it would be crazy. Okay. I want to switch gears here if I can. But I want to introduce a new segment to our show.
This is exciting.
Because I'm a little agitated on something, and when I get agitated, I can get angry, and you can see behind me. Okay, you can see that thing over there. It's a lion sitting on a throne. That all has to do with my last name. Okay, it's an Italian last name. It translates to lion, and sometimes I can act like one. Like I've got a big roar. So we're going to introduce a new segment here because there is something that's really, really pissing me off, and I feel that I'm the type of guy that gets pissed off often. So we're just going to go with, what's pissing me off, and I've named the segment. So here we go. Into the lion's den. So let me tell you what is really pissing me off, okay, guys? Because this is the thing. I'm on X last week, Twitter, whatever the hell you want to call it. And it's after one of the Jays' losses. And we're talking about the offense because this is going to be a point that is just going to go on for the rest of this season. And someone posts a response on Twitter. And it basically goes along the lines of, overreaction of the bandwagon fans. Us true fans know, at the time, it's only 9 games into the season, plenty ahead, no need to worry. The true fans will just cheer. And I looked at that. And the tweet, or the X, or whatever the hell you want to call it, is getting likes. And I'm sitting back, and I'm like, you've got to have, like, no brain in your head. Because to me, it's not 9 games into the season, or 13 games into the season now after they lost in extras yesterday. It's just not. See, because this front office did not do enough to change the nucleus of this team. As a matter of fact, what this front office did was double down on everything that they spewed out last year and basically came back with the same roster. So it's not 13 games into a new season because we saw 162 games of the same crap last year and then an additional 2 games of the same crap in the playoffs. So it's 164 plus 13, which on my quick math makes it 177 games of the exact same crap that's been going on because this front office doesn't buy the opportunity to say it's a new season because you haven't done anything to change it. So if you're not going to change anything and you're going to double down on everything that failed last year, then you don't get to say it's a new season because it's the same crap. So the way that I look at it is we can be pissed off, us true fans, because God knows I get more emotionally invested right now in the Toronto Blue Jays than I do in the Leafs because I'm pissed off at what I'm seeing. Because you've got a team that's invested over $230 million in payroll, but has still managed to not address its most glaring need. And that's the fact that this team can't score runs. And yeah, there's going to be games where they sprout out 4 or sprout out 5. We saw it last year. But on the average, it's going to be the same crap. And there is nothing anybody can do to convince me differently until this front office makes a trade, makes a call-up, does something to change the fact that these guys look as shit as they did last year offensively. All right. That's it.
Rant over?
Yeah, well, that's my gripe. I'm not wrong.
I really thought we were going to be talking about veal sandwiches. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah, veal sandwiches. I'm not letting that. I'm not letting that secret out publicly. Right. I don't need anybody knocking on my door. Listen. And I know you feel the same way because we talk about it off podcast often. This front office doesn't get to say new season because when you don't make any changes, just because the calendar flips, doesn't mean that something's different. And now you're 13 games into the year. They've been no hit once. They've been one hit once. You know, yesterday was another day that you didn't see the offense really getting it going. They've got guys on the team that can hit base hits. They can't necessarily hit them when they matter. There's not enough long ball throughout the lineup. Okay. Happy to see Vladdy's got 3 of them and 1 at home, which took him 100 games last year before he did that. But I just don't think that it's enough. You know, this front office, in my opinion, They took this fan base for granted. They took this fan base for granted, man. They teased you with an Ohtani signing. I'm not suggesting that their chase was fake, but they teased you with that. And he decides to stay or not stay in California, but he decides to go to the Dodgers. And they follow that up 25 days later by re-signing Kevin Kiermaier and signing Kiner Falefa, which is we're just doubling down on defense and defensive runs saved, and that's it. There was plenty of offense available if you would have paid for it, and they chose not to. And it could have been minor moves like bringing back a Teoscar Hernandez, which I think would have satisfied enough of the fan base to say, okay, I'm not suggesting that it stops there, but a Teoscar with the combination of a Justin Turner maybe. When Justin Turner is your most offensive signing in the offseason, man, you didn't address squat. You just didn't. And they took this fan base for granted. Period. The end. We'll see you on the next episode.
Is management's jobs in jeopardy, do you think, if we have another crappy
I don't know what
season?
to tell you because the general manager's in bed with the president. You know, I don't think the president. Yeah, there's a scoop.
There's a scoop.
There's a reason why they called him Shatkins.
Atkins is gone if they miss the playoffs this year, and I do think they're going to miss the playoffs.
Okay.
Just from an improved Yankees team, from one more team in a crappy Central Division that's going to take advantage of the fact that they play in a crappy division.
But then you've colossally failed.
Correct. Look, so I'm just going to be whatever, right? What's that stupid term? But you know what I mean? I'm just going to so I don't have to agree with you. I'll just bring up something. Okay? I'll just bring up something. Just to
you don't want to be agreeable.
Just for the sake of disagreeing.
All right.
What have we seen that's better this year than last year? So far, I'm encouraged by Vladdy. He's been better, right?
Okay.
I think you've heard things like the approach of all the players at the plate, like strikeouts are down and things like that, right? So, okay. But yeah, I don't disagree with you. But my only point of contention with everything that you said was, what move should they have made?
What move should they have made?
Like, free agency this year was filled with guys whose analytics at some point said, no shot.
Okay.
Love you, Cody. I'm not giving you 11 and 220, right? Like, how many guys got contracts this year?
But
None.
that's not what it cost.
No, I know, but you weren't getting him at 1 and 30. If you wanted him, I believe you were going to have to overpay.
Okay.
They got tired of Chapman. They were going to make a deal. They offered him a deal. Like,
that's
Chapman
fine.
lost. Chapman lost in his negotiation, right? But it wasn't going to be the coming back to the Toronto team. But I do agree with you. Like, the 1-year deals that they were going out there, for the sake of goodwill towards, your fellow man and woman and paying customer, Teoscar Hernandez probably would have been the guy. Like, it's just a good PR move, for the sake of PR. Because we've got tons of guys who look the same that play all these different positions.
Yeah, I would have been equally happy with the Soler. The answer was moving Varsho to center field.
Correct.
He's your number 9 hitter, right?
Yep. Yeah, he's the younger Kiermaier and because he's younger, he has some upside. That's it. For me, the enthusiasm died, and I apologize to everyone if I've said this every week on this episode. The enthusiasm for me just died when they signed Kiermaier, and it doesn't have. Like, I like Kiermaier the guy. I love his enthusiasm. I love how much he loves Toronto. I love it. Like, he's, you know what I mean? But he's a fourth outfielder, in my opinion, right? And it just meant that, oh wow, we are going to double down on what we did last year.
Yep.
Right. And so you better be right, because I think it costs you your job. We could have had, and I don't know, like, yeah, fuck. Serge, you're not wrong.
That's
not
one
wrong
more.
It
It's
really
one more
like
season.
Yeah.
In the wheel that's moving, the wheel of time, right? The window. All right, call it the window wheel if you want.
So you don't think the team's greatest need, though, was cup holders. We can confirm that.
Yeah, I'm going to pass on that. I mean, listen, I don't have firsthand experience with it. I will after tomorrow night. I'm sitting there. I'm going to get it. My first Jays game of this year is just off of behind home plate. Okay. However many rows up, I've got the cup holder, slightly wider seat. It may be one of the most important things that they've ever done. No, it's not fucking important. Like, what are we kidding about here?
I know.
You know what pissed me off on Monday night? And you tried to talk me off of it, okay? And it doesn't matter. All right? Here it is. Opening, home game 1. All right? Opening home game for the Jays. And what is the pregame ceremony? 42 construction workers on the field, all right? Representatives of the people who helped make this renovation happen in this ungodly time that they had to do it. Let's give them a round of applause. We're going to show you a video, okay, highlighting this massive reconstruction that we've done. You want to know why? Because we don't have a video that's showing you highlights of our successful playoff run. We don't have a video that's showing you highlights of this amazing portions of last regular season. No, our excitement for the last calendar year is a stupid freaking reconstruction of the seats.
And a goddamn stuffed Jamaican patty.
Yeah, don't get me started with these Jamaican patties. Don't get me started with these Jamaican patties. That's my point. And they took advantage of the fact, and guess what? Ticket prices, they're up through the roof. Hey, buddy, neither of you have a ticket pack. Go on Ticketmaster right now. Go on Ticketmaster right now and find what it costs, okay, to sit behind home plate 35 rows up. It's $140 a ticket.
But Jorge Soler is not going to change that.
No, but you know what Jorge Soler changes? It's another home run in the seats at some point. In a lineup that lacks home run pop.
Well, listen, and I've said this before too, right? The optimism for me stems from it is clear as day. This team needs 2 things, right? They need a 5th starter. And they need a 5th starter. Like, they don't need to go get Blake Snell and stuff like that. It would be great if they did. But they didn't need to go get an ace. But they need a guy who could take the ball every 5th day and give their team a chance, because their bullpen is incredible. And it's
but I'm going to argue.
And then the other thing is go out and get a bat.
But they don't need a 5th. But they don't need a 5th starter. This is where you're categorically false. It may look like that because of how things have lined up, but their 5th starter is Yusei Kikuchi. That is their 5th starter. When this whole thing started last season, okay?
Yeah, but Manoah sucks.
But that's my point. So
they need
they've
a 5th starter, because I don't count him on the team.
But
and Bowden Francis ain't good enough.
But they've never done anything to address that they lost a Cy Young candidate in this rotation. Now, granted.
Did they? Was he a Cy Young candidate, or was he a flash in the pan?
No, well, he was a Cy Young candidate.
For 1 year. For 1 year. Okay, well, the sun shines on everybody for 1 year.
No,
the sun can shine on someone for a year.
Got it.
Do it over and over again.
His ass once every Tuesday when, the grass is green and the sky is blue. I get it. That's not the point. The point is that's what he was. Okay? Now, he did that in the same season that Jose Barrios put up a 5 ERA. So you could argue that they've swapped places. Okay? Manoah became the really, really bad version of Barrios. Barrios has stepped up and inarguably, especially what you've seen at the start of this season, has become the 1B of this team. Gausman, Barrios. Okay? Hold on. Okay? Chris Bassett, very good third option. Kikuchi, though he's had a couple of good starts, looked great yesterday, still not a guy that I want to sit here and say, that's my number 4. But I don't want him to be my number 4. Okay, so when I go back and look at this offseason, you say, what are the things that they could have done? Well, if they weren't going to invest in the offense, screw you, maybe you should have gone to go get Snell. If you were willing to chase Ohtani, at the beginning of this offseason, then that tells me that at some point before last season ended, this team was committed to the idea that they were going to go get a guy that was going to cost them upwards of $70 million a year. Because before they were in
But that's
the chase,
different money, though. It's
stop.
different money.
Just let me finish for 1 second. Stop. Okay? Before they were into the chase on Ohtani, they didn't know that he wanted a deferral and all of that stuff. So what I'm saying is that if you rewind it, when they consciously make a decision as an organization, we're going to chase, that means that they were ready to add upwards of $70 million to this payroll. I get who the player is. I get what it comes with. But if you were ready to add 70, you couldn't have added 30. You couldn't have added 25. Montgomery, who signed close to the end. If you weren't going to address the offense, then why not triple down on the pitching?
Where did Montgomery go?
He ended up in Arizona. So if you were willing to spend $70 million, then
Baseball
an
players,
extra 25 going to hurt?
baseball players, just like the hockey players, love Arizona.
Oh, that's not the point. The Jays weren't involved at that point. That's
Well,
what
they
I'm
were probably
saying.
told they weren't interested.
Oh, give me a break.
Right? Like, we don't know what kind of dude. Look, listen. It's April
Scott
11th.
Boras loves this Jays
April 11th.
team.
It's April 11th. There's been at least, 3 teams eliminated from playoff contention already in baseball? There's 3 teams that are out of it, right?
Yeah.
Right?
The White Sox.
Right? The White Sox are done. Who else is done?
Probably the Rockies, and then I'll leave it at that.
Right. So, okay, so 2. Give me a couple more days, and there'll be a 3rd team.
Yeah, I mean the Marlins have started off.
Miami, that's it. There is 3. They're 1-12.
Miami can
Garbage.
still.
They got Sandy Alcantara's out with Tommy John and blah blah
Again?
blah. So,
No.
no, he's not pitching at all this year because last year he needed Tommy John, right? So, my point is, you know what? There's bats out there, and Atkins knows his job's on the line. I think a trade is coming sooner rather than later. Unlike that traditional, things usually happen closer to the deadline. I think it's going to happen sooner rather than later.
I don't subscribe.
Kiermaier's off to a horrible start, as is Varsho. So there's no reason why you can't put one of them on the bench. No. You think they just stay with this team for as long as they can?
I do.
I will.
So you want to know what?
I'm so stubborn. I'm going to win or die fighting.
You know all the parallels that we've drawn in the past between the Jays organization and the previous iteration of the Leafs organization, and we drew all those parallels. You can also draw it in the front office. Because like the GM who ended up leaving for the Toronto Maple Leafs, I think we're at a point where I've seen enough to tell me that Ross Atkins, much like Kyle Dubas, thinks that he's the smartest guy in the room. No, he thinks he's the smartest guy in the room.
Well, he can be the general manager of the Pittsburgh
He's just going to double down on all of his numbers and all of his theories. And you know what? At the end of the day, hit the road, Jack. It should have been done at the end of last year. That's fine. This is, like he's Shapiro's long lost son. Okay. Brought him in from Cleveland. Congratulations. You just wasted $237 million of Rogers' money.
All right.
And 0.012% of that is my money. Because I pay a lot for cable and, well, not cable. What do you call it? Fibe and internet and all of that shit. I pay a lot, So I support.
So on that note, enjoy the game tomorrow.
Yeah, and your ticket pack.
Are you going with him, Igor?
No, I'm not.
Igor, are you his special guest for tomorrow?
I'm not. No, I'm not that lucky.
No. My ticket pack partner is my special guest tomorrow.
The price of a section 124 row 5, which is right behind home plate, is $195.50.
124 row 5. Is that the immediate section behind home plate?
No, it's the section behind the immediate section.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet factory days.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, $200.
Do you want to know what those seats cost last year? Face value?
Probably 150, 140 something.
They were under 100.
Oh, that's terrible.
They were under 100.
God. There's one ticket There's one ticket available, row 2, section 3. It's $1,316.
That's
and
just
complaining about ticket prices though when they're not available.
Home, like literally behind. You're on TV. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't be complaining about ticket prices when tickets aren't available. So
Nah, well, and that's just the thing. So congratulations to them. They milked everybody. There was some excitement in the city about the renovation. There was some excitement from the Otani chase. They've got people. Now when they fall flat on their face, if they fall flat on their face, it is indefinitely going to affect their ticket sales for next year. Like it's just that's it. That's it. You're going to see a hit. And that will piss
a
off.
trade will be made to salvage this season.
All right. You just told me they're not making the playoffs.
Not in this form.
12 minutes ago.
But I'm 100%. Not in this form. Not in this form.
And me saying all of this.
That's why they're going to make a trade, because he's going to miss the playoffs. He's going to lose his job. You can't bring back Atkins after the season where he misses the playoffs. So he gets that. He will make a deal.
All right.
He will make a deal.
Two things.
I don't have a name to give because I don't do trade speculation.
That's fine. Two things. 13 games into the season, they are averaging 3.6 runs. Last year, they finished 4.6 runs. So their offense was already shitty last year. To start the year, they're already 1 run less.
Tough pitching.
Okay.
They ran into some good pitching. Logan Gilbert yesterday was filthy.
So the point is that me saying all this and ranting earlier and complaining about the offense, bet the over tomorrow night, Jays are going to probably put up 14. Okay, perfect. I'm just saying. They're going to probably put up 14. And that's all I got to say about that. I got nothing else. You know, Igor, the one thing that I do want to apologize to you for, I didn't play you in this week. Yeah, I didn't play you in. Because we're on YouTube now, and YouTube will not allow me to play Careless Whisper.
That's okay. I don't know. Don't get us demonetized again. That's all I care about.
Well, you criticized me for not adding clip art or whatever to the YouTube video, saying, there's a song playing here, and that's why Igor was, nodding his head. So, anyways, before we sign off, what's the score in the Leaf game?
Second period ended 4-4. Camp scored to give us the lead, and Timo Meyer scored a second goal to tie it
Wonderful. Up. I'm glad that we are playing
terrible hockey.
You are nothing but garbage, yeah.
Nothing but garbage defensively, but it is what it is. Listen, to those that
Montgomery has just fired Scott Boras.
Yes, that was earlier today.
Okay, well, it's new to me.
Yeah. Yeah, new agents, so that once his 1-year contract is done.
Yeah.
Great. Can I do my sign-off now? Are you done interrupting? Is there anything else you'd like to say before we go?
I thought we were done with the what's grinding my gears bit.
Well, now who's grinding my gears? You want to jump into the Lions then? Do you want to jump into the Lions then? Because I got bite.
Igor, we give this guy his own segment. He's complaining that he doesn't get to talk.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, eh? Everybody gets their own segment going forward.
Seriously.
Oh, my God. What's your segment going to be called?
We'll figure it out.
In between the buns?
Off air. Okay.
No, we'll figure it out. Mine's going to be called We'll Figure It Out.
Yeah.
I'm tired of hearing that from every sports general manager in the city. Yeah, we'll figure it out. What have you figured out?
Oh, my God. Anyways, to our listeners, thank you for joining us for another week. For those of us that are watching us on YouTube, the like button, the subscribe button, all of that stuff, click it, hit it, get notifications when these videos post. We appreciate the fact if you are watching. And like I said, to those that don't watch, because you can only tolerate hearing us and not watching us, it's cool. Subscribe on the podcasts, Spotify and Apple Music and Google, I think, carries it, and Amazon carries it. It's out there. Because we appreciate you listening. And with that, we will bid you an adieu, and we will catch up with you again next week, specifically for an NHL playoff preview. Oof. Maybe, I'm not making any promises, maybe a special guest. 6% chance, special guest. But if not, it'll be, these gentlemen with me regardless, with Igor telling us that the Leafs are great. So with that, have a good week, everybody. We will catch up with you on the next episode.
See ya.
Raptor fans, you have my heart. But for now, ciao.